again. And this is a test. This is a test. This is a test. We're rocking to the beat. Me, the boys, and the groove. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. I'm just trying to see if some of you are getting notifications. Okay. Any notifications? Just want to see if any of you are on YouTube. Any notifications? Okay, because oh, there you go. Thank you. YouTube is there. I see you now. I see you. Praise God. All right. Now, unfortunately, I only have. I froze. Unfortunately, the battery is still not the way I want it to be, and I don't know if the battery is going to, if it stay where it is at 20%, good. If it go up one and then one, that's fine. But if it start going down and down, well, we're in trouble. Yeah, we're in trouble. All right, so I'll get to the topic at hand. Yeah, see, I'm getting an error message. Making local recording, the operation could not be completed. Yeah, I get an error message because it won't allow me to record, but don't worry about that. I'll be back. Hello, everybody. Sirwalterj Jones Show. I'm here. It is the evening, weekend edition. Baby. How y'all is? Come on in. Water's fine. I'm so glad that YouTube is there. I got a little worried. Now I'm hearing that you guys were there. I gave Amber a hard time. She said she was on YouTube, and she was, because I did hear from a couple of you. I was giving her a really hard time a few minutes ago, so you're welcome. And as far as Lisa Aiken is concerned, now you saying you're not getting Facebook notifications, but I do see from Facebook people are here. BW is here, and those are Facebook icons on their faces. Yeah. So Lisa, I don't know what's going on. Let's talk about the sin of America right quick if we can, and then I'm going to go. I'm going to probably, I'm sure, have to do a part 2. What is the great sin of America? That sin, of course, as we see it, 1619 was a year that the Europeans, colonizers, came over to the African nations and other parts of the world and enslaved our people. Now some of us bought and sold. Well, we sold ourselves, some over there, but mostly the whites went over there and got us because they needed us to build up the South through harvesting their crops, all right? Hands-on labor, free of charge, no fringe benefits, and the humiliation of mankind. It was an atrocity to mankind. It was the greatest sin today of America. Do you understand? It was the greatest sin of America to this day. For a couple hundred years, and this 1619 happened before America became a nation, as you know, the signing of the Bill of the Declaration of Independence, we say 1776, but you got to go into 1789 or something like that. All right, nevertheless, we the people form a more perfect union, okay, and the whole aspect of all men are created equal, inalienable rights. None of that applied to the African. None of that applied to the dark-skinned man, who around the world, many nations began to free their slaves. A lot of it was based off of casteism and social economical situations, but America continued that slavery based off of the complexion of a man's skin. You just didn't see it nowhere else but pretty much America because of the darkness, the complexity. and it continued and then we saw that the first president owned slaves, second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one. Many of them did own slaves. A lot of hypocrisy going on in America, and the bills and the laws and the ordinances, things like that, protected the white man and his white wife and his white children. All right, and it was a rough time, not just for Africans, but also for those who were part of other nations who were coming over here to find a better life for themselves. They were running from the potato famine, and they were running from injustice in their territories to come over here to find a better opportunity. All right, and then America began to then attack the Native Americans through Manifest Destiny. You'll see how their territories here were overtaken. Andrew Jackson, one of the most notorious men, although a president, he was trying to cause genocide and annihilate the Native American people, all right, through the Trail of Tears, and he began to uproot them and move them out. And many men, women, and children lost their lives. They froze to death, or they starved to death by the killing of America through the executive branch and through the passing of the bills through the legislative branches and through the upholding of the bills through the judicial branch. So America at its heart and its core, evil. It is the stain of sin to try and get rid of a people so that you can conquer their land and take it. Look at the experiences, the how they experimented on African Americans, blacks, colors, all these names they called us. Okay, the Negro, by shooting us with syphilis and all, we became lab rats and what have you. And then the taking of lands, and then these black men and women were creating ideas and they were inventing things, and the white man would steal the patents. All right, and so these are just a small section of the sins that we see of America. And so what I want to do is look at how God treated the sin of the Israelites, and how God used the enemy also to teach them a lesson. I want to go out of Ezekiel chapter 16 and see if we can find some familiar areas in this story, in this lesson, through the script, and see how if it can tie in and find some similarities with America. You understand? All right. And so we saw through the political spheres, the Jim Crow laws and the poll tax laws, and there's the freedmen's laws, and today we see them. It's a you put a lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. It's a red herring. All right, there's dog whistles and all these other terms that we can use. The Southern strategies, and just using certain things that they hide, that they've been hiding for years, but now we know because of things have been leaked, gerrymandering, redrawing districts, trying to get you not to find ways so you cannot vote. Okay, it's so many things that we see here that we are very aware of. So in the book of Ezekiel chapter 16, we see the prophet Ezekiel talking about Jerusalem. He calls her an unfaithful wife. Then another message came to me from the Lord: Son of man, confront Jerusalem with her detestable sins. Give her this message from the sovereign Lord: you are nothing but a Canaanite, he says. Your father was an Amorite and your mother was a Hittite. Pretty much what he's saying here is, if he's talking to America, your mother was a whore, a harlot, a prostitute. Your father was a pimp. He was Leroy Brown, or your daddy was a Rolling Stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. All right. On the day you were born, no one cared about you. You were a bastard child, all right? And your umbilical cord was not cut, and you were never even washed. You wasn't even rubbed, and at that time they rubbed you with salt and they wrapped you in cloth. No one had the slightest interest, and nobody wanted you, all right? You were an abandoned baby. They put you on the doorstep, or they left you at the fire department, all right? No one pitied you or cared about you. On the day you were born, you were unwanted, dumped in a field, and left to die. But I came by and I saw you there, helpless, kicking about in your own blood as you lay there, and I said, live. This is what God is saying to Israel. Live. I saw you there abandoned, and I said, you shall live. And I helped you to thrive like a plant in the field, and you grew up and you became a beautiful jewel. How many of you have adopted children? How many of you have visited the orphanages, okay? How many of you saw a situation where it was unhealthy for a child and you took it in and raised it? Your breast became full and your body hair grew, but you were still naked. And when I passed by again, I saw that you were old enough for me to then love you. So I wrapped my cloak around you to cover your nakedness and declared my marriage vows to you. This God was raising his own bride. I talk about frequently how my father was raising his own child in my mom. My father taught my mom how to cook. He taught my mom how to drive. He even introduced my mother to earrings. He's the one that got her ears pierced. My mother didn't have that, and my father reared up his own daughter and married her. All right. For those of you who don't understand that, God did the same thing with Israel. All right. He says, I made a covenant with you, says the Lord, the sovereign Lord, and you became mine. A husband for every need, both mind, body, and soul, and spirit, and everything that she needs, she should be able to go to her husband who goes to the Lord. So follow me as I follow Christ. That's what's supposed to happen. Unfortunately, we don't see that much today. You understand? All right. And okay. And if we're going to buffer a little bit, but I'm going to continue as much as I can, then I bathed you and I washed off your blood. And I rubbed fragrance oils into your skin. I gave you expensive clothing from those during the Hitler reign and many from the Holocaust. All right. They lost everything, and these banks were becoming wealthy because they were stripping the Jews of their stuff during this Holocaust. It says beautifully embroidered and sandals made of fine goatskin leather. I gave you lovely jewels, bracelets, and beautiful necklaces, a ring of your nose, earrings for your ears, and a lovely crown for your head. I did this for you. United States, you became a superpower because the people came together and they began to Rover, what's her name? Rhodey the Riveter, whatever her name was, okay, we began to do rations, okay, because we just got attacked by the Japanese, the emperor, the empire of the Japanese, whatever it is, a full name. And World War II showed the world how powerful the United States is, and God allowed us to win this thing. Drop 2 bombs, one on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Okay, the granola, the Nola Gay, or whatever the name of that airplane, all this stuff that you learned in high school. Yeah, Rosie the Riveter. Thank you, God is watching. Yes, and so you were adorned with gold and silver. Your clothes were made of fine linen and costly fabric and were beautiful embroidered. You ate the fine foods. Oh man, you ever ate at a 4-star, 5-star? I don't know how many stars a restaurant could go up to. Have you ever ate there and you didn't have no problem about the bill? The bill is $200. I don't care. Swipe it. All right, with my gold card. I dressed you in the splendor and perfected your beauty, says the sovereign Lord. He says, but there's a but here. But you thought your fame and beauty were your own. So you gave yourself a prostitute to every man who come along. You gave yourself as a prostitute. You played the whore. You played the harlot. Your beauty was theirs for the asking. You used the lovely things I gave you to make shrines for idols. We began to worship people. We begin to worship our the Hollywood and the actors and actresses and all these people. Okay, you used the lovely things I gave you to make shrines of idols. And when you played the prostitute, he says you were unbelievable. How could you do such a thing to me? You took the very jewels and the gold and the silver ornaments that I had given you and made statues of men and worshiped them. All right, you started off as fundamentalists and evangelicals, and I tried to show you my love and my grace towards you and made you a superpower, and you called yourself a Christian nation. All right, this is adultery, he says, against me. You used the beautiful embroidered clothes I gave you to dress your idols. Then you used my special oils and incense to worship them. Then you took your sons and daughters, the children you had born to me. This is our babies. Okay, and you sacrificed them to gods. Was your prostitution not enough? Must you also slaughter my children by sacrificing them to idols? In all your years of adultery and detestables, you have not once remembered the day long ago when you lay naked in the field. Remember when I found you swallowing in your own blood, kicking about, okay? What sorrow awaits you? All right, in addition. Now, he goes on, he talks about the pagans, he talks about all the things that this nation did, this prostitute, this harlot, and then he began to compare them to the sin of Sodom and how he would actually restore Sodom. Many of you don't know that. I see these dumb memes about if God don't judge homosexuality, God owes Sodom and Gomorrah an apology. Shut up. You sound dumb. He says, 35, therefore you prostitute, listen to the message from the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says, because you have poured out your lust and exposed yourself in prostitution to all your lovers and because you have worshipped detestable idols and because you have slaughtered your children, this is what I'm going to do to you. I will gather together all the allies, all your allies. I'm going to gather up France, okay, and Italy and Great Britain and Australia and Canada, okay, the Virgin Isles, okay, and all these who your allies, who are your allies of the United States and the lovers with whom you have sinned, both those you loved and those you hated, and I will strip you naked in front of them so that they can stare at you. Look what we saw through Donald Trump, who was pulling us out of these so-called agreements, and then he began to sleep in the beds with the Russia, the Putin, and Kim Jong-il in North Korea. All right, and these tyrants, these oligarchs, these authoritarians, okay, just love them. And he wanted a military parade just like them. He says, then I will give you to these many nations who are your lovers, and they will destroy you. They will knock down your pagan shrines and altars, okay, and they will strip you and take your beautiful jewels. They will band together in the mob to stone you. They will burn your homes and punish you, okay? So we think we can win wars all over the world. We think, well, we can police the entire world. It's no coincidence that the boys came home running between like scared cats during the Vietnam War. We just knew we was gonna go over there and overtake those people, but those men were in trees shooting with bamboo tubes and what have you. They were doing guerrilla warfare, and we sent them 19-year-old boys over there, and they came over here running with no ticker tape parade. It was an embarrassment. God was showing the world something through that thing. And then at last my fury against you will be spent. He says, after I do all these things to you, I'm gonna sit down like I did on the seventh day and rest. Phew, I couldn't wait to get that anger out of me. And that's what my father did. He said he got so mad that his fury was in his face. He was so mad at me, so he beat my behind, and when he got through, then he began to try and prepare me for the when my brother Rodney got beat and he he fell against the wall. He hit something and blood gushed out his face. And my father, he felt horrible, and he began to say, "Listen, son, I'm sorry." my father felt horrible because he was only going to chastise him, the rod of correction, but my brother fell over and hit his head and blood started gushing out, and it made my father nervous. And my brother said for years it bothered my father that he did that. That's God. It bothers God that he have to chasten his people. Thank you from Jamaica, Mitzi. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Then he says, then at last my fury against you will be spent, and my jealous anger will subside. I will be calm, and I will not be angry with you anymore. All right? I'm going to calm myself down, God says. He said, but first, because you have not remembered your youth, but have angered me by doing all these evil things, I will fully repay you for all of the sins, says the Lord. For you have added lewd acts to all of your detestable things. Everyone who makes up proverbs will say of you, yep, like mother, like daughter. Oh, did you hear what God is saying? He's saying all around the world, people are going to look at Israel and say, look at this harlot, look at this whore. Okay, that God came and raised them up and weaned them and put clothes on them and cleaned them up. All right, and they had children together, and then they played the harlot on their God, and they said, and they pretty much saying, listen, look at this. Whoever your mother was, like mother, like daughter. For your mother loathed her husband and her children, and so do you, and you are exactly like your sisters, for they despise their husbands and their children. Truly your mother was a Hittite, and your father was an Amorite. Your mother was a hoe, and your father was a pimp. Then he says, 46, your older sister was Samaria, who lived with her daughters in the north. She was a crackhead. Your younger sister was Sodom, was a homosexual, or was a person who did detestable things. Now the word Sodom, we could play with that word because that's what the word sodomite comes from, committing sodomy, all right, which was a crime in the United States to commit sodomy, all right, used to be a crime. Now, sodomy is still a crime if you're doing it to harm someone, but homosexuality was considered a crime. Now, Sodom, the act of homosexuality was not the reason why God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. All right? It was not the reason exclusively. That's the only thing we can think of, because we always see the story of Abraham going to get his nephew Lot out of that territory, and the men saw them going into the house and they wanted to lay with the men. That's the story we always make big, okay? But he talked about your younger sister Sodom, who lived with her daughters in the south. But you have not merely sinned as they did. Now, you didn't really sin like they did, so you should be celebrating them for this, all right? You didn't sin like they did. He says, you quickly surpassed them, though, in corruption. You didn't sin just like they did, but you surpassed them in corruption. Remember when Jesus was talking to the Pharisees, and he says, it would be a worse thing for you than it would be for Sodom. We always think that God's got to apologize to Sodom and Gomorrah, all right, for what he did, or because of homosexuality. No, baby boy, baby girl. As a matter of fact, what he's getting ready to say about Sodom is different than what we've been taught. As surely as I live, says the sovereign Lord, Sodom and her daughters were never as wicked as you, America, and your daughters. They never were. And then he's getting ready to talk about the sins of Sodom. The sins of Sodom. He says, Sodom's sins were this: pride. Is not America full of it? Y'all, full of pride. That is, the United States always been, always will. When Trump came on the scene in his inauguration, he says, America first. He pretty much meant America only, which is a saying of the Ku Klux Klan back in the day of Jim Crow. America only. There's coins there. If you go on YouTube, if you go on Google, you can find the coins that says America only, and there's a signal of the KKK, pride, and then gluttony. Gluttony. Good to see you, Charles Johnson. Bless your family. All right. Then there's gluttony. You know what gluttony is? Some of y'all just do too much. It's just too much. I'm not going to talk about that right now. It's a sensitive subject always, and I'll talk about that later on. And then laziness. Consider the way of the ant, that you sluggard and you step on. You are lazy bone. Okay, you're lazy. All right, and you sit there and the Bible, Proverbs chapter 6 talk about you fold your hands and rest. All right, you're all day long. Okay, you're just lazy, and that is what we've been seeing here in America. He says, America, you do this while the poor and the needy suffer outside of her doors. You won't even lend a hand to them. You who are white evangelicals talk about you stand in front of the Planned Parenthood talking about you're against abortion, and many of them begin to believe you until that baby is born, and then you abandon the baby. The poor and the needy is suffering outside your door while you live in posh homes and drive great cars and you're making six figures, and the police won't pull you over, and if I commit a crime and you commit the same crime, I'm going to prison and you getting slapped on the hand. All right, and these poor people are all around you. Jesus said the poor will be with you always. So this is what's happening here in the Ezekiel. He says she was proud and committed detestable sins. Notice there's no homosexuality mentioned in this. So the sins of Sodom is pride and gluttony, laziness, and not tending to the poor and the needy. They're suffering outside the door. And then he says she did a detestable thing. Well, we don't know what that detestable thing is. It's just assumed that detestable thing there could have been homosexuality. So it says, so I wiped her out as you have seen. I got rid of her. Even Samaria did not commit half your sins, though. You have done much more detestable things than your sisters ever did, you nasty dog, you. They seem righteous compared to you. Shame on you. Your sins are so terrible that you make your sisters seem righteous. America, the things that you're doing, the people you're putting in office to represent you, and you turning your face on this while people are dying of COVID-19, your president knew that this thing was a deadly thing and told the man on the phone it's bad and is even hitting these children. They walking around with it and killing their parents and all kind of stuff. He knew this stuff and hung up the phone, did a press conference and say, it's nothing. It's a Democratic hoax. Only a couple of people got it, and it's gonna go away. It's gonna blow away. He even said, he says, I had to downplay it. Is what he said. I have to downplay it. So this man singing the helm killed. He should be brought up on charges. Forget all that tax stuff. Yes, he paid about $750 in taxes for 2016, 2017. He owed more to the Panama Canal in taxes than he paid more in taxes around the world than he did here in America. All right, but he was bragging on how much money how wealthy he was, and now y'all saying we got him. No, you don't. You don't have them. You never did. You won't. Why? Because I talked about that in my post yesterday about the providential plan of God. There's a reason why God is keeping him alive and keeping him in that office and keeping all of the scandal that goes through and goes in one ear and go out the other. And then y'all forget that one. Then he does another scandal. Y'all forget that. Then he does another one. He goes another one. He's going to continue to do that until God is done with him. God is not done with Donald Trump. He's using him as a whooping boy. You understand? He is the rod of correction for the United States. Not in the way white evangelicals believe. But someday I will. Now, here's what God says about Sodom. He says, one day, I will restore the fortunes of Sodom and Samaria. He says, and I will restore you too. One day, I'm going to bring Sodom and her fortune back. You never was taught that, were you? Disingenuous leaders is a sin to servant leadership. Come on, more. So then you will be truly ashamed of everything you have done, for your sins make them feel good in comparison. Did you hear what he said? You will be truly ashamed of everything you've done. He says, yes, your sister Sodom and Samaria and all her people will be restored. And at that time, you will also be restored. All right. In your proud days, you held Sodom in contempt. In your proud days, you over there judging everybody else in your proud days and held them in contempt. He says, but now your greater wickedness has been exposed to all the world, and you are the one who is scorned by Edom. You point your fingers to all these third world countries, United States. Go ahead and point your fingers, all right, to these people. Oh, but God is saying something here. Your time is about up. And all her neighbors, and by Philistia, this is your punishment for all your lewdness and detestable sins. This is the way I'm going to punish you. He says, now this is what the sovereign Lord says. I will give you what you deserve. For you have taken your solemn vows lightly by breaking your covenant. You deserve this punishment. You taking me for granted. Yet I will remember the covenant I made with you when you were young, and I will establish an everlasting covenant with you. Now he's talking to Israel here. He's not talking to America. He's talking to Israel. America, you better wake up, because you said you started this territory by believing in God, but Jesus is nowhere on the document. Then you will remember with shame all the evil you have done. You have these white evangelicals always talking about how the founding fathers were religious and they loved God and the Constitution. No, ain't nothing godly in the document. They were deists. They believed in a higher calling, but most of the signers of the document of the Constitution were pagan men. They were in secret societies and they were doing all kind of stuff, all right? Matter of fact, they made sure that it was not a spiritual document. They wanted it to be separate from church and state because they come from that tyranny from Great Britain. I will make your sisters Samaria and Sodom to be your daughters, even though they are not part of our covenant, he says, and I will reaffirm my covenant with you, and you will know that I am the Lord. You will remember your sins. You will remember your sins and cover your mouth in silent shame. When I forgive you of all that you have done, I, the sovereign Lord, have spoken. Again, he's talking to Israel. He's not talking to you. So what do we do about all of this? What do we do about all of this? You're being punished by the God in heaven who you have not decided. You decided not to get to know him. He was introduced to us all through the times of this country. He was introduced. He rescued us from many the terrors and destructions that could have happened. All right, even when we were bombed over there, a day which was lived in infamy. Even when hurricanes and tornadoes come our way, when earthquakes come our way, all right, when fires happen. All right, and floods happen in America. Still, God still protects. There's 300 million people in America still today and constantly growing. God is still sovereign over this nation, but we have kicked him out. We kicked God out of this country a long time ago, but we have a sense and believing that we welcome him here, although we have 30,000 denominations. One God, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, but 30,000 denominations. How is that possible? To be under one umbrella of the Holy Spirit, but yet we can't see eye to eye. We are bastard children. And God has judged. He's not getting ready to judge. He already judged. I don't think it started with Donald Trump, but what God is doing is, though, he's letting you see his judgment through Trump. You wanted a king? I'll give you a king, God says. The people looked to other nations and says, we want a king. God says, I set this up as a governed by God. I set it up that way. It's called a theocracy. God rules. They says, we can't see you. We can't feel you. We can't taste you. But we see those other nations have kings. And so God says, what's wrong with me? The other nations have kings, God. And God says, okay, no problem. I'm going to give you what you want. And he set up a kingdom, a kingship, okay, whatever you want to call it. That was not God's plan. That was y'all's plan. And he set it up and put a king in there and called him named Saul and says, now this Saul, he going to be a handsome brother, all right? But here's what he going to do to you and your children. Here's what he going to do. And he did just that thing. Because that's what the people wanted. And that's what's happening today. I know the traditions of man is to vote in people. and the apostles cast lots because Judas was gone. He didn't bury himself. His body exploded on the ground, okay? Pretty much. He hung himself in the potter's field, all right? So they need to replace the one out of the 12, and so they cast lots. God never told them to cast the lots. Never did. And Matthias was the replacement. Well, what happened to Matthias? Nobody knows. We do traditions. Even in the midst of our punishment, we still do our rituals. And Jesus said, you missing the mark, he told the disciples or the Pharisees, because of your tradition, you're missing the mark. You got to do a tradition. And I'm trying to establish something in you. I want you to see the full truth. And through your tradition, you will miss heaven. And so our traditions, we continue to do these things in the midst of us being punished, but we don't want to see the punishment. We don't want to feel it. So we go into a deflective thing. We go in to denial, this mental state that some people can be in. They go and they slip into denial. Oh, this is not happening. I don't see it. Nope. Nope. I don't see it. You don't want to see it, but it's hurting you. It's hurting you. You're losing stuff. You're losing homes and cars and finances, and you're losing your children, and then your spiritual life is pretty much gone. You're losing out. You don't want to admit it. All right. So you keep doing the same thing over and over again, thinking that something's going to change, and I think they call that insanity. God has judged us, and He judged us because it was your choice. Your choice. And so the nation needs to pray. But how can they pray? Except somebody show them, because what the representation of who God's people are is showing the people that God's kingship, his kingdom, is jacked up, because they're seeing Christians do the same thing that the worldly people do. If you're in the white evangelicals and they see the xenophobia and the bigotry and the racism and the casteism and all these other systems in you, and then you call yourself holy, other nations are seeing that. And the people who live in America, they see that as well, and they say, I don't want to worship and serve this God. Who was that who said, I would be a Christian? Gandhi said it, but if it wasn't for those Christians. He says, I like that Jesus, but I don't like his Christians. And that is the resume that many of us have today as a whole. America looks at Christianity as being one big organization that is dumb, because they feel that you don't know your own word. You're trying to thump the Bible to the world, and the world catches you off guard because they know the Bible better than you. Talk to the average atheist, and he will make you look like a fool. He know your Bible better than you. Why? Not because he want to know the Lord, not because he enjoys salvation. He do it like a good trial lawyer. The trial lawyer wants to win the case and get paid. Do you understand? Because one day he may run for the prosecutor's office. One day he may want to sit on the bench. It's a career move. It's not really a heart move. It's a business move. Atheists learn the Bible and understand it because it's a career move, it's a business move, it's a warfare, and they're going to win. You understand? So what happened? That's it, Lisa. We are supposed to be the light of the world, a salt, right? But we have lost our savor. That salt pork that my mother used to put in our greens, okay? It was so good, and sometimes she let us lick it. She'll just let us lick the salt pork. I know that was kind of, back then we did everything. We walked barefooted. You could drink from the water holes in the back. We stepped on rusty nails, and we didn't catch gangrene and all that. We did crazy stuff. My father used to put us in the driver's seat, and we drive all the way to Mississippi. Oh, we were crazy back then. That's the way it was back in the 60s and 70s, okay? So we licked the salt pork, but she put that in that thing, man, and then it boiled and it do its thing, and then you pull the salt pork out, and then where's the salt? Where's the salt? Well, that's America. You lost it. Go back up and ask Travail's question. You may have to put it back on here. Put it back here, Travail. Put it on the bottom because, all right, maybe you're saying here. You're teaching now. Some of the research. Okay, that's not a question. Some of the national songs are written. That wasn't a question. So can you put the question on the bottom? Put the question on the bottom, please. So help me, please. Was your post? Oh, I think this is your question. Was your post saying we should vote for him since God is using him to chase us? Nope. No, that was not my post. Absolutely not. I am one and will never tell you who to vote for. Not gonna do it. Nope. That was not my post. I seek my face while there is still time. A time will come when the world would be hard. Yeah, that's good, Reginald. RR is here, y'all. Yeah. All right. So, this is going to be a crazy election. I'll continue to come and tell y'all what I see. The COVID-19 was a setup. Number one. Number two, which caused the shutdown of the states. Setup. Number three, which caused the economy to get hurt. Right. Number four, which caused many Americans to lose their jobs and then lose homes and assets. Number four, which caused the post office to go through the scandal that it went through. Number five, which means that because things are being shut down, which means more people will be mailing in their ballots. Number six, now there'll be people going to the polls, but more people will be mailing in their ballots this year than ever before due to COVID. Number six. Number seven, which also didn't cause, but the notorious RGB, sometimes I get it mixed up, RBG Ginsburg, had to die at this time. You understand? She had to die at that time. Now, I don't know if that's number seven. All right. Okay. And Donald Trump put in 2 already. Now, if they cannot confirm her before the election, Donald Trump still have the power. Well, not so much him, but Congress still have the power, because it is a Republican Senate, the power to put in this woman all the way up to January. Do you understand? Because let's say we vote in November 3rd and Biden wins, Trump and the Republicans still own the White House and the Congress. So he's still, even though he's rushing to try to get her in, if he lose, he still don't have to rush. Okay? He still got all of November and all of December to still put that girl in the black robe. Because the inauguration address, the peaceful transfer of power don't happen until January. Y'all understand? You understand? So whether Trump win or whether he lose, they're going to push that girl into those chambers. It's a win-win situation for him. He'll have 3, and the Justice Supreme Court Justice Hall will tip very far to the right. Now, for some of you, that might be good, might be great, but it's a great divine setup. It's a providential plan, y'all. I'm hoping you're seeing it because I keep giving you some hints here. All right. We will feel the wrath of God through Donald Trump for years to come. He may be dead, by that time. All right. And we will feel his wrath and God's judgment through that man for years to come, and our children will feel it as well. You got to know that. I'm glad your response was, I don't tell people to vote. My advice is to be a fruit inspector. There you go, Yeah. Yes. So pray, my brother and sister. That's good. Yeah, I never tell people who to vote for. It's not my yop. Not my yop. All right? And if you represent a church, if you got a 501c3, you breaking the law anyway. God's watching, says that's a big mistake to put this woman on. I read that wrong. This woman. Yeah. If you know her record, she's from here. She lives in Indiana right now, I believe. But she was the clerk for Alito. Who was that died during the Obama era? She was his court person. He's already putting his people in place to carry out their agenda. There is James. Yes, that's exactly it. Where are we? We sure will. 198. Yep, have been at. There it is. You will feel his wrath. Understand? Okay. So this thing about the tax and all this stuff. Listen, Donald Trump is afraid. He can't let you see him sweat. What is his fear? He's got so many legal problems. He owes millions of dollars. And he's millions of dollars in debt. As long as he's the president of the United States, he's okay. We'll feel the hand of Trump through Judge Amy Coney. Yes. Oh, yeah. More so through Amy than the other two, through Gorsuch and through the drunk. Okay. Or the beer drinker. Okay. More so through her than those two. That's why they kept Scalia. Thank you, Regina. That's why they kept courting her. They kept courting Amy. While Ginsburg was still alive, they were courting her. They kept saying, oh, you're going to be next. You're going to be next. You're going to be next. And when that girl died, they said, hello, it was no surprise to nobody in the news. Soon as Ginsburg died, that girl's name popped up right away because they knew. They had always been courting her. She is extremely conservative. Understand? Just because she adopted children of color does not mandate, and it don't mean a hill of beans. Yeah. New York, the 3rd district is waiting on him. Yes, he is afraid. Yeah, exactly. Judge Kavanaugh. Thank you, Amber. Yeah, they're waiting on Donald Trump with bated breath. They cannot wait to dive into his neck. And not just that court, but I mean, so many people are waiting for him, and he know that he's worse off when he becomes a public citizen, a private citizen, public citizen, private citizen. He knows that his days are short, so that's why he says, "I'm gonna serve 4 more years, and then I'm gonna serve 4 more years, and let's do 4 more years." He's afraid, and that was that the Washington Post? Showed us his tax returns and all the stuff that he said that he was, but these numbers show something else. We see now why he's afraid. This is why he hate mail-in ballots. He hate it, and he will do everything that he possibly can, even illegal, to make sure that he gets another chance. And if God is not through with us, because he's not, he will put Donald Trump back in office because he's not through spanking us by the way Donald Trump can spank us. If God puts Biden in the office, he will spank us another kind of way. But he's going to spank us. regardless. God is judging us heavy. You understand? I suggest you get right with God. Even if he doesn't, Trump will not leave quietly. He's going to take everything. Yeah. They'll have to drag him out of there. They literally will have to drag him out of there. It's not going to be easy because you have to understand Trump is serving under a very high persuaded conservative Republican government. It's just not easy. It just ain't easy. Especially if he get this girl in there. Then if his girl get in there before the election, then it would become a Gore v. versus Bush situation where the Supreme Court has got to make the judgment call. Can you imagine this being the plan? Okay. Some things I want to say and some things I can't say. But can you imagine this being the plan? The Providential plan is this. Remove Ginsburg from the chess piece right before the election. Push Amy in there. November 3rd comes. They vote. There's a tie race, a close race that is. And then somebody's got to break the tie. Where does it go? It's got to go to the Supreme Court like it did in the year 2000. And he's got 3 persons in there which tips the House this way. Tips the court this way. You understand? And bam. I'm in. How you think Bush got in there? Bush got in there because the Supreme Court says he's the man. Keep your eye on Florida, will you please? Donald Trump moved to Florida. He calls that his residence. He ain't down there just for my Mar-a-Lago. Yeah. New York Times. Okay, New York Times. Yes. What did I say? What? Wait, New York Times. Am I missing something? I don't know if you have read this book called America's Original Sin by Jim. I thought I had the book. I saw it on Amazon. Yeah, I saw it on Amazon. I may have the book, James. I gotta look again. Cause I remember trying to order the book, and I got so many books here. I just don't remember. Yeah, I think I got that book. We playing checkers. They playing chess. Yeah. Romandus, that's good. Good to see you, Pastor. Pastor Romandus P. Moore. Yeah. The Washington Post. Thank you, BW. The Washington Post. I pray for God's mercy and grace for America all the time. Me too. All right. So listen, people. Don't be dismayed. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Don't put all your trust in the polls. Understand? Don't get so caught up in the polls. Vote. My ballot is here, and I'm putting it in the mail tomorrow morning. All right? I'm putting it in the mail tomorrow. So I'm going to exercise my right to vote. My forefathers died for this. You understand? So I faithfully vote. I don't play. Now sometimes I write in candidates, all right? Or I'll vote for the established person. Nevertheless, I vote. Please don't get caught up and put all of your mind, your spirit, and all of that real estate into the act of pulling a lever. Don't do that. Yes, don't put your trust in polls. Don't do it. Just vote. Walk away and don't even worry about it. You understand? Don't do it. Because when you do stuff like that, you start falling into depression and anxiety, and It's not good for your indoor plumbing. It's not good for your spirit, man, because then that shows me when you get so excited or upset because your guy didn't win, it shows us how much trust you put in God. You think God is this sloppy and this much of that he don't care for his own children, that he will allow his children to stay in a territory. This world is not our home, that we live in this country like this, and you don't think his eyes are always open and that he don't have the heart of the king in his hands? Huh? Are you going to be so upset because your guy didn't win? And your priorities is all jacked up. That's it, BW. Don't be consumed in that stuff, because some of y'all can't handle that consuming, all consuming. Stress is a killer. Please don't do that. I tell my siblings that all the time. Yep, black blood was shed so that we could have it right. Come on. Yeah. Don't get so caught up in that. I truly wanted to vote via mail. This county I live in have a hard-written ballot. Okay. Handwritten. Travesty. Yeah, it takes forever to fill it out. Oh, wow. I feel you. You got to do what you got to do, though, Travail. Find a way. But you got to have a voice. If you don't vote, you don't have a voice. So if you're just voting because you can have a voice, then do that. But vote. You have to. Do the process. All right? It is your reasonable service. Don't play with that. And then whoever wins or loses, you can then say, I played my part. Now, God, you do your part. Study the other people on the other ballot. Know who you're voting for, because it's bigger than just the presidential election. Now, James W. Jones, we talked about that last week, and we talked about the midterm elections in which most black people don't play a part. Yeah, we are being reduced to our faith. The just shall live by faith. Come on, preacher. Habakkuk. Yeah. So y'all understand? Y'all understand what I'm trying to say here? All right? Play your part, but don't get all caught up in that. Please. Do it. Vote on Tuesday? Okay. I got to go to election office and the person will, okay, do it. Get it over with. God has never lost. Be on the winning side. See Christ. The door is open. That's it. All right? So like James Jones says, all right, don't let this stop you, because whoever you're voting for lose this election. You got 2 years that you need to be planning and studying and researching, because 2 years after this November thing, you're going to have to vote again. And if you sit on your do nothing and don't play a part in that election, then you voting in November, it weighs smaller on you directly. Understand? It's like your credit score. There is a soft inquiry and a hard inquiry. There is revolving credit and there is installment credit. All right? Don't worry, I'll be doing my shows on credit real soon. All right? And revolving credit lays heavy on your FICO score, because you use your credit card and they give you $1,000 on the credit card and you use it and go buy something, and then you pay the credit card off and it's back up to $1,000, and then you go back and do it again. That's why it's called revolving credit. And so it lays heavy on it. And when you treat that card right, then your FICO score starts rising every time it sees that credit card reports it to your your agencies. It keeps rising because it lays heavy. But if you have an installment loan, like a car or a mortgage, all right, or a personal loan or something like that, it don't weigh as heavy on your score. So sometimes people went out and bought cars thinking that they're gonna pay it off, pay on it a few months, and they see their score go up, and it goes up 2 points, 3 points, -1. Wait a minute, I've been paying on this car. This car costs $20,000. I've been paying for a whole year, and my score ain't doing it because it don't weigh that heavy. And that's what the presidential election is opposed to the midterm elections. The midterm election weighs heavy on your life because the midterm election is the reason why you could not get Barack Obama couldn't get that other guy in to even get heard by Congress. They blocked it. Well, who blocked it? You didn't go vote. So the other people went and vote, and they put those people in there who blocked who Barack Obama wanted. What is his name? I forgot the man's name. Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland. You understand? You see how powerful this is? So if you had voted the last 2 years ago, then what they're trying to do to push Amy in there would be different. Do you understand? I think the African American community really learned that lesson about those mid primaries. Yep, they came out. Yep, because yes, that's why the House of Representatives is Democrat, and some of the Republicans lost even their Senate seats because they went in there. The black folks went in there like crazy. They said, "Listen, we can't do this." They woke up, but still, not enough of y'all still didn't go in there. Oh, but this election, folk are gonna be voting. They're gonna be walking miles. If it snowed 5 feet, people are gonna be walking 5 feet in the snow to vote, just because they want Trump out of there. And then guess what's gonna happen? God is gonna speak. And when God speaks, well, there's nothing I can say. There's nothing I can say. I gotta go, y'all. I've been sitting here with 7% battery for the past 20, 30 minutes. 7%, it just stayed there. It didn't move. When I came on, it was 20%. It went down to 7. I said, okay, I'm gonna have to quit this show early. And it's still there, 7%. These Mac, y'all, if you got a Windows, bow your heads. Yeah. Those of you who on PCs, bow your heads. Bow your heads. See, this is Mac. Mac don't play. If this was a Windows product, that 7%, it would have been cussing at me right about now. You are Sodom. You are the daughter of Samaria. Yeah, the primary elections are really more, because we moved, yes, electoral, yes, Michelle, that's it. I have fought the good fight. Yeah, I finished the faith. Finished the race. Good. I've kept the faith. Come on, JWJ. Like it. We like knowledge regarding the midterm. Yes, we do. Fry said, that's how Max do. Yeah, that's how Max do. Gotta watch it. Stop bashing us PC people. Oh, man. I'm glad you two folks are here because I was worried about y'all. I sure was worried about y'all. That's the blessing. Yeah. Thank you, sir. You're welcome. Yeah, I was worried about you two folks because this thing was acting up. It wasn't. Apparently, YouTube was watching, but it was buffering like crazy. Look at God. Favor with Mac. F it off. All right, clock keeper. I know that my time is up. All right. I'm going to eat something because I haven't had dinner. All right. Don't be complaining. My sleep schedule is not like yours. Do you understand? Y'all hear what I'm saying? So for you people who say, why he always eat late? I don't have a work schedule like you do. You understand? Do you understand? I'm up all night working. Okay? I don't get up and 5 and 6 and 7 like y'all do. Don't even bother me. Don't text me. Don't ring a bell. Don't walk by me. Don't blow in the wind. Okay. Around that, that's an ungodly hour. I'm not going to get out of that bed till after 10 or 11 o'clock. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all like, the whole day for me is gone. That's your schedule. But I eat late at night because that's my diet for 30 years. And look at me. It's been my diet for about 30 years because I was born and raised in the entertainment world and in the religious world. And my father had us out there gigging all night long. And we would eat dinner at 11 midnight. That's the way we work. So it would be equivalent to you guys working on the second shift or whatever, the third shift, whatever shift it is. All right. That would be equivalent to us. And so my normal time of going to bed is 3 o'clock. All right. So while y'all snoring, it's 3 o'clock and I'm up. All right. And then I finally go to bed. So if I don't get out of bed till noon, now you understand why my eating habits is the way it is. And it's been working for me. I'm actually a very healthy person. I could be better, but I'm actually pretty healthy. Pretty healthy. Yeah. I have a third shift schedule. Yeah. And it's been working out. So you ladies, don't do what I do. Don't do what I do. Don't do that. Don't do that. You can't afford to have all that stuff sitting on you at midnight and you gonna eat a full course meal and then go to sleep. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right. Some of you brothers don't do that either. I've been doing it for 30 years. I'll eat a full course with dessert, everything at midnight. And I'll mess around and then I'll go to bed. But I ain't waking up for a long time. That's my body. And it's been working out for me. Musicians' creativity comes in with, come on, JWJ. I'm going to bed after this. After I eat, I am going to bed because I've been at church all day long. I've been teaching Sunday school since 9 o'clock this morning. And then was in church all day, literally all day. Sons of Thunder this afternoon. Then went to my father's anniversary. All right. After that, I didn't get home until a few minutes before I went on the air. Earlier, when I went on the air before I started having these technical problems. So I was at church all that time. You understand? So tonight I'm gonna eat and chill, and enjoy a quiet evening at home. Baby girl ain't here. Baby girl, she act like she ran away from home. I haven't seen it in about 2 days. Yeah, and so I got a quiet evening. I miss her though. I need to send her a love text. You all right? All right, y'all. I'm gonna go. Y'all keep praying for my daughter Elise, who lost her baby yesterday. Friday, was it Friday? I missed the days. I don't know. All right. Tomorrow I'll come on and I'll show you some of you don't even know who my family is, and I'll show you my family tomorrow. All right. Thank y'all. All right. Hey, don't fret. Okay? Don't worry about this election. I know it's bothering you, and every time you turn on the news, this man is doing something crazy. It's just frustrating. God knows. He's watching. And guess what? He's playing chess. And you're on the board. So enjoy the ride. All right? Do your part. Keep praying. You should always pray and not faint. And let God work what he's working. All right? Don't worry. The president is not your spiritual leader. Nor are they your God. Let them play politics. Okay? And when it's all over and said and done, get back to taking care of your home. Raise up your children. Train them in the admonition and the love of God. read the word with them, pray with them, and then you start getting your finances together and create businesses. You understand? Create businesses and invest your money wisely. Stop spending it on cosmetics and all these things on the outward appearance. You're just giving your monies away. You're already pretty. You ain't got to be that pretty for spending all that money on your face. You're going to look back one day and realize I spent thousands of dollars on this stuff that's temporal. All right, and I got nothing to invest. I can't pull from a retirement because I didn't put nothing away. Do that, and you won't have to worry about no president, no mayor or governor or congressman. You don't have to worry about none of that. Take care of your business at home, because the Asians do it, the Jews do it. They don't be crying and worrying about who gonna be the president. Their money's going their communities, and it circulates like this. It circulates like this. Yeah. That's their susus and their looms and their boards and all that stuff y'all doing. Their money circulate. Understand? So black folks, let your money circulate like this, and don't worry about politics. That's God's business. Let him handle that. Got it? Gotta go. I love y'all. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Take your election thumb, smash the like button, and turn it fuchsia red, white, and blue. That's a good color. It's the flag color. Fuchsia red, white, and blue. All right. See you tomorrow. Pray my strength. It's about 100 of y'all there. What y'all doing up? You realize it's almost 1 o'clock over there on the East Coast? What are y'all doing up? It's 100 of y'all on here. I'm ready to work on these songs. Okay, Jay. Let's get it going, man. Now, what songs you talking about, man? Because I'm retired. Bye.
Goodbye. 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 Enjoy yourself. Goodbye. 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 Bye. Well, goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Fellas, does it seem like you can't get a good woman? Ladies, wonder why you can't keep a man? Then read The 4 Women That Men Desire, Volume 1, by Sirwalterj to figure out how to break the cycle. Go to Amazon.com to get your copy today.